right in here. Angelo Cataldi, 330. Absolutely. One of the legends. Congratulations on being elected into the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. Caitlin Clark is Josh Allen. Great individual player, but can't win a ring. Neither can your boy. By the way, you know what's funny? I was prepared for shit like that. There's only 4 players in the NFL right now that are starting quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls. 80% of the quarterbacks in the NFL today haven't won one. And you actually think that Jalen Hurts will be one of those next guys. Never happened. Never. Ever. Never. All right. This is a crazy-ass story, and I didn't believe it. Christopher, he'll never get back to an NFC title game. Ever. All right, let's get into this here. I couldn't believe it. I had to actually call my friends at the Dallas Cowboys. Should the Philadelphia Eagles pursue Micah Parsons? No. I have no interest in acquiring Micah Parsons. Absolutely not. Edge rushers don't win you national titles. Edge rushers don't win you Super Bowls. Myles Garrett? TJ Watt, how long has he been in Pittsburgh? How long has TJ Watt been in Pittsburgh? Khalil Mack. Okay, Von Miller's got one and a Super Bowl MVP. Okay. Who else in the last 10 years? And by the way, back then, Von Miller wasn't the highest paid player at his position. Charles Haley's not an edge rusher. He's a defensive end. And that was 100 years ago when no one was making the money you're making now and the money you have to invest. I'm not spending $37 million or $35 million on an edge rusher. That's not happening. LT12, he was making $280,000, and then he ended up making $900,000. Little different, dude. I said in the last 10 years, name me an edge. The money's different. I'm not spending. You guys have to go back 38 years. I'm talking about players that are making $30 million. I'm not spending that. I'm not spending that money. Aaron Donald's not an edge rusher. Aaron Donald's not an edge rusher. I'm not interested in spending $30 million on a defensive end. No, thank you. Patriots didn't need one. They had the quarterback. So think about what you're saying if you're Philadelphia. You needed to go out and get a $10 million running back. You need to go out and get a $30 million edge rusher. You're going to give up draft picks for a guy who's overrated. Micah Parsons is overrated and overhyped. He's not as good as you think. That guy is not going to win a Super Bowl unless he has better people around him. He's not that good. He has flash games. The guy in Jacksonville, like LJ said, is better. Josh Allen is a better player. I would never spend $30 million. Shit, the Eagles didn't even want to spend $25 million on an edge rusher who gave you 27 sacks the last 2 years. And so I go, Is it true that the Cowboys are thinking of moving him? You know what they're saying? They're open to moving Dak, CD, and Parsons because they're not going to be able to afford them all. Why in the world would Dallas trade him to Philly? That right there, too, 304. Now, remember something, though. 304. You remember the history and how Dallas got him, right? They made a trade with the Eagles. I agree. 304. And by the way, he reminds me, Super Chats, guys, all go to the top. In my opinion, I think the Dallas Cowboys would be in the best interest to trade that guy and get draft picks. Get multiple ones for him. He's so overhyped and overrated right now, he'll never have a higher asking price. And someone would be dumb enough to pay it. But I guarantee you, if Micah Parsons, think of this, he's nowhere in the room of Myles Garrett or TJ Watt. And those guys are 10 times the player he is. Okay? I mean, I wouldn't, dude, Micah Parsons is not going to generate a second rounder. He's going to generate a couple ones. That's not how that's going to go because he's a Dallas Cowboy. I see people talking about that in Philly and in Dallas, that he'd like to play in Philly and that the Cowboys are sick of his shit. Hey, 304, I think he's an anchor around your defense. I think he's a focal point on who to attack. I think he hurts your defense, not helps it. I think he hurt. Hey, how many people agree with me? How many people think Micah Parsons helps the Dallas Cowboys defense? You see what the Cardinals did to him? You see what the 49ers do to him? You see what Lane Johnson does to him? They run him over. He does not help your defense. I mean, I don't see it. What, against the Giants? And against shitty teams like that? He has big games, but in big games, he's nowhere. Overrated, overhyped. I think it would be a horrible move, in my opinion, for the Philadelphia Eagles to pursue any kind of even thought process of Micah Parsons. I mean, he's awesome against crappy teams, against the team that he has to get this, against the team. If you're the Cowboys, the team you have to beat and the team that you have to be measured against, Micah Parsons has his worst games against the Philadelphia Eagles. Why in the world would the Eagles want to put a guy on the team who's not that great a guy against the run? And I don't know. I saw this. Now, look, I'm not shocked the Cowboys are sick of his shit. And I don't think he's a $30 million guy. I'm not paying that for that guy. No way. No way. And I think the Cowboys are having an epiphany, and I think they're having a come-to-Jesus conversation about that. Do we pay that guy? Do we pay CD or Dak? I think the odd guy out in that payroll is Micah. Hey, Sills, you think that's Jimmy's influence with the Cowboys looking to get rid of those guys? That's the first thing I thought. Absolutely, amen. That's the guy I talked to. Coach, what do you think of Micah Parsons? You know what he said to me? He goes like this, that ain't Charles Haley. And you know what he means by that? 304, I'd trade Micah to the Raiders for 2 firsts, and I'd be ecstatic. They're a team that drafts high every year, and Dallas drafts very well. Truly true. Truly, that's right. Jimmy Johnson, what do you think he meant when he went like this? And I go, what do you think of Micah Parsons? He goes, well, he's no Haley. What does that mean? I took it this way. Coach wouldn't expand on it. But you know what it meant to me? Charles Haley made big plays in big games. And he was a playmaker. Micah Parsons is not a playmaker. I mean, but I see people in Philly all excited about the opportunity of potentially pursuing it. Then you have to realize, would Dallas trade him to an in-division opponent? The only reason you would do that is because you do think the guy's overrated. Can't play the run, isn't a linebacker, just a pass rusher, never shows up in big games. Gets 3 sacks versus Panthers, but doesn't do anything versus playoff teams. Anthony, dead on. I would make this comment to you. Who do you think has been better the last 2 years? Haason Reddick or Micah Parsons? Haley, playmaker. Parsons, haymaker. Miss. Yeah. Not trading him to the Eagles unless the Eagles give 3 ones. The Eagles are not trading for that guy. And if they do, it'll be Howie's biggest mistake of his entire career. Haason Reddick has had a better 2-year span than what Parsons is. I get he's younger. But no, LJ. Bryce Huff has to start. I'm talking about starters, not substitutes and second-team guys. Micah Parsons and Haason Reddick are starters. I don't talk about backups. I'd rather go for Patrick Surtain too if I'm giving ones up. I would never trade for that guy. And for the record, the Cowboys getting tired of it. I don't know if the Cowboys are getting tired of it because they tolerate a lot of bullshit at that organization. I just think this. I think they're tired of paying people and overpaying for people. I think the Cowboys should trade him on draft day. And like 304 said, the Raiders, Arizona, and quite frankly, he doesn't scare me if I'm Dallas. If I trade him inside the conference, he doesn't scare me. Myles Garrett scares me. Okay? That's an edge rusher. Josh Allen, Jacksonville. Those are great-looking players. Those are edge-rushing, great-looking football players. Okay? I don't see. Is Parsons overhyped? He's overhyped and overrated. Reddick wrecked the game. No. Anthony, he didn't wreck a game. He wrecked the NFC Championship game. Okay? I mean, the NFC Championship game he wrecked. Championship. Okay? Dude, Twiz, Lane Johnson owns him. I mean, Lane Johnson could put and send to the Canton people and the Hall of Fame people a reel of him dominating him. And that would get him in alone. It would get him in alone. And for the record, Myles Garrett, he's going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Boy, man, you hear all these people saying this stuff about potentially him coming to the Philadelphia Eagles, and should they pursue him? Absolutely not. All right. Let's move on here. We're getting close. What are we, 18 days out to the NFL draft? Getting closer. Dick Train. Let's talk about how AJ will be a top wide receiver in the NFC. Once again, Dick Train, and how Jalen will be the MVP consideration. AJ, or Dick Track, just remember this. Big-time wide receivers like A.J. Brown, they're a dime a dozen. How about Houston, what they did? Instead of giving Stephon Diggs, fans who think like that don't know much about football. Our weakness on defense was back four. We need linebackers who can cover and coverage. Correct, Prince. Absolutely correct. Once again, did you see what the Houston Texans did? You see what the Texans did? They voided the last 2 years of the contract so that Stephon Diggs could be a free agent. Why would they do that? He's a one-year rental. They're going to let him go into free agency. Only given ones for Satan or Allen. Absolutely. So much for being important in Buffalo. You had Stephon Diggs that you made a trade for. Think about that. You had him for the next 3 years. You know what the Texans did? I don't want him here for the next 3 years. I'm not paying that money. So how important was he? You guys made it sound like Stephon Diggs was the most important thing possible to Josh Allen. Shit, the Texans don't even think that. The Texans went, we'll void that last 2 years so you can go out and be a free agent. Think about that. You guys are trying to tell me that Stephon Diggs is a big-time receiver, right? And that Josh Allen needs him. Houston's saying we don't. They didn't give him a... Most people, when you get traded, get new deals. They get new deals. They cut the last 2 years of his contract out. Why in the world would they do that? Because they don't want to pay him. Why are the Eagles paying A.J. Brown to not win championships? As long as A.J. Brown is on your football team, you're going nowhere. That guy does not play championship football, and he's overpriced. Silsby puts great numbers up. I don't care. He's overpriced. He hurts your defense and how you can spread your money around. He hurts your team. And he turns Jalen into a one-target guy. People, I hear people that are on our network go like this, well, he's the best offensive player. What's it done for you, though? It's wrecked your salary cap on defense, and they haven't delivered. The only person that has benefited being in Philadelphia has been A.J. Brown. Hurts had a horrible year last year. Didn't benefit him. Coordinator got fired. Didn't benefit him. Nick Sirianni almost lost his job. Didn't benefit him. Didn't benefit Devontae Smith. What did it benefit you? You lost 6 or 7 at the end. It got you nothing. Why pay him? Why are you paying him that? Because you know why? You're not sure of your quarterback. How are the Bills better without Diggs? Simple. The same way that Kansas City will be better without Tyreek Hill. You're not relying on one guy. You're spreading the football around. And you can actually put a game plan in instead of having to get targets and touches to one player like you guys do every year to one player. 36% of the offensive throws went to one guy. I mean, think about that. So 64% of the time, I know this. I've got to defend somebody else, which was most likely Devontae. So almost half of your throws went to 2 people. You become predictable when you have one of those big-time wideouts. By the way, one more time. Okay, then, LJ, if Diggs is so important, why did Texans void the last 2 years of the contract instead of giving him a contract extension? Why? Why didn't they give him more money? They voided it. He's on a 1-year deal in Houston. That makes that trade look kind of different now, doesn't it? That makes that trade look different. Okay? Makes it look different. Texans don't even want him. Because they have contracts coming up too. They got $67 million in cap space. They were one of the top teams in the NFL in cap space. Who are they paying? They just gave Joe Mixon get this, just to show you how ridiculous LJ just is. Joe Mixon got traded to the Texans. What did the Texans do to Joe Mixon? They gave him a brand new 3-year deal. Stephon Diggs got traded to the Texans. They voided the last 2. Why? Why? I mean, Joe Mixon got a 3-year contract extension. Knowing it's going to overpay a 30-plus-year-old wide receiver, who he wasn't that good last year. They didn't need him. They don't. Not one of these big-time paid wide receivers. I'll say it one last time before we move on to the next topic. Will win. Justin Jefferson's not winning a Super Bowl at $30 million. A.J. Brown's not winning one at $25 million. Stephon Diggs is not winning one at $20 million. Devontae Adams is not winning one. Tyreek Hill's not winning one at $25 million. None of these guys are winning titles when you have receivers making that kind of money. They touch the ball 5 times a game, and you truly think that those guys are going to move the needles. When unless you're Jalen Hurts and Brock Purdy, who need all the talent around them. Personally, let's take a look at something here too. Let's take a look at all the people that have these big-time wideouts. So Allen doesn't have one. Mahomes doesn't have one. Lamar doesn't have one. Lamar's the MVP, second before the age of 26. Let's see who has the big paid guys. Jalen has one. Purdy has one. Devontae Adams doesn't have a quarterback, so they're paying the quarterback more in Vegas. They're paying the wide receiver more than they're paying a quarterback. Anytime you get that dynamic, you know you're not going anywhere. If my wide receiver makes more money than my quarterback, I'm not going anywhere. That's what Minnesota's got to figure out. Are you really going to pay a guy $30 million and bring a rookie in and have a rookie throw to him when the rookies this year aren't very good? Okay. I mean, I think A.J. Brown's a waste of money, and I think he hurts your defense. I do. All right. Draft is right around the corner. Okay? Draft is right around the corner. Josh Allen, all not even close to Mahomes. Nowhere close. You're nowhere close. If Josh Allen is nowhere close to Mahomes, your guy is a galaxy away from Mahomes. He's not a very good passer. He's an okay passer. I mean, in the league is set up for throwing. A.J. Brown's the greatest wide receiver of all time. Okay? Sure. Thank you, Niners all day. Niners all day might dispute that and go, yeah, we had a guy here by the name of Star 80. Hurts is washed. Hey, I don't think he's washed. I never thought he was as good as people thought he was. Jalen emphasized the importance of having a good coach in a recent interview. I suspect there may be some tension between him and Nick. Prince, I think one of the things that you've been saying and a lot of people have been saying for the last couple of years is that relationship is not what people think. Sills, I love A.J. Brown as a player. I did so before Philly, but if I'm over Howie, I'm telling him to draft the next Jefferson or A.J. and to trade A.J. It would not shock me if they drafted a wide receiver and moved down closer to the end of the first round and drafted one of these wideouts, it would not. Nicole goes negative Nancy. Well, what did you find redeeming about your football team last year? What was the positive? AJ's untradeable this year, probably so because of the cap hit. But then again, I'll say this to you. They did show that they're willing to eat cap space because they've done it with Alshon Jeffries, and they also did it with Carson Wentz. They've shown they'll eat it. We had a terrible coach, so Hurts gets this year, or his ass can find another team. Okay. I'm with you on that. I'm completely with you. Because let me tell you this. I don't believe the Kellen Moore hire is as good as you think. I'm not that impressed with him. When you dive into what he's accomplished, which is nothing as a coordinator, I'm not that impressed. And the same people that rip Dak Prescott every day here on our show, well, he was with him for 5 years. What redeeming thing did you see in Dak that you liked that Kellen was doing? All of a sudden now he's a better hire here? How can you say that? You can use a great wide receiver. It's not a mistake to put money at that position. Well, the teams that win Super Bowls don't. So you don't think anything the Eagles have done in 3 years has been a good move? No. Once again, hyperbole there and over the top because that's not true. I think the extension for Lane, no, not Lane, but for Landon was spectacular. I think the money that Mulata gets plus the cap, great. I think the Jalen Hurts contract is great. And you see what LJ wants is me to sit here and try to quantify some of the things that I say here on the program. I don't have to quantify shit. All you have to do is look at 1-7. That's all you have to do. And look at the way the football team fell apart. Okay? Brady and Mahomes winning because of their superiority doesn't prove that a stud wide receiver is not a big asset. Well, they never won with one. And when Tyreek Hill was in Kansas City, he wasn't a high-paid guy. Brady never won a Super Bowl with a big-time wide receiver, ever. And I wouldn't say Edelman and Amendola and Wes Welker were big-time wideouts when he won those 6 Super Bowls. Remember, before you start barking, wide receivers are not tight ends. We're not talking tight ends here. See, the position that you have to have is tight end, not receiver. You don't have a big enough tight end to win a Super Bowl. And this is going to take me into the topic here. I have 5 players that I'm coming around on that I would like to see the Philadelphia Eagles draft. 5. Christopher, come on, Sills. What? What did I miss? What did I miss? Pass catching tight end is pretty much a receiver. Well, he's not. And here's what Christopher doesn't get. You can say that until you go and get your paycheck. Tight ends are not paid like wideouts. And yet they're more instrumental in moving the sticks. Would you rather have Gronkowski or A.J. Brown? How about this? Would you rather have Travis Kelce or A.J. Brown? Would you rather, I'll go away from Kelce. Would you rather have the guy Edwards in Baltimore? A.J., look at Jay. He goes A.J. Brown. He would take A.J. Brown over Travis Kelce. When the number one mismatch in the NFL today is tight ends with linebackers versus receivers with cornerbacks. That's how dumb he is. This guy just yaps. A.J. Brown. I just made a point to you. Big-time wide receivers with big-time salaries don't. Here, let's take a look at the Super Bowls. Okay? And let's take a look at the good teams. How good is San Francisco with Kittle? Pretty good. How good is Baltimore with Edwards? Pretty good. How good is Kansas City with Kelsey? Pretty good. All those guys were instrumental. Okay? Instrumental. If you have a big-time tight end, okay? Kittle won a whole lot of nothing. Well, he's won more than Dallas Goedert ever will. Andrews, Baltimore. Thank you, MG. Excuse me. Thank you. Yeah. Not cherry picking. Here, let me get to the topic. Boy, I'll tell you what. There's no question. Half this room doesn't understand how to build a football team or the importance of a position or matchups. Okay? No one was talking about Ertz, LJ. No one's moving the goalposts like you. No one brought that in but you. We won a Super Bowl with Selleck and Ertz. That's how we win. But that's to the point. Oh, Ertz got us a ring. Tight end. I got it. My mistake, LJ. You're right. Wasn't your great wideouts. Then there's a tight end. So let me ask you this. Would you rather have a younger Zach Ertz or A.J. Brown on your football team? Yeah, I got it, LJ. Would you rather have Zach Ertz younger? Or would you rather have A.J. Brown? Younger Ertz, not close. Right. So let's go into our topic. Here are the 5 players that I would covet. I would never want A.J. Brown. He'll never win shit. He'll never win shit. He won't be on his football team after next year. A.J. Brown will never be on this football team next year. He won't. Imagine 2 tight ends said if we had drafted Bowers. How about this too, Q? That's why I think the New England Patriots were on the cusp of doing something special. You know what that was? With Aaron Hernandez and Gronkowski with that two tight end set. I think they were going to revolutionize the NFL. You couldn't cover both those guys. You put those 2 guys in a slot. How do you cover them? How do you cover them? Okay, okay, incredible. 5 players that I've now circled as we're getting closer to the NFL draft. Eagles are sitting at 22. Randy, once again, guy, shows you the ignorance of some people. Randy Moss didn't win a Super Bowl ever. Ever. He's the Caitlin Clark of the NFL for wide receivers. Randy Moss never won a Super Bowl. Thank you, Richard. Appreciate it, my friend. Never. Thank you, Richard. Okay? KP, you and me are pretty close. Yeah, Randy Moss is the Caitlin Clark of NFL receivers. So wait a minute. Let me get this right. A.J. Brown is going to win a Super Bowl, but Randy Moss, the second greatest wide receiver in pro football history, didn't win one. But he will. Is that right? Really? That's like telling me Hurts is going to win one when there's only 4 quarterbacks that are starting in the NFL today. 4 that have Super Bowl wins and led teams to a Super Bowl. I mean, Randy Moss, the second greatest, him or T.O., you could pick. Okay? Well, look at Twiz. Twiz goes like this. Moss cost Brady a Super Bowl. Had 20 touchdowns that year. Broke the NFL record. Wow, that's some bad play. Hurts will never win one. A tie. But wait, A.J. Brown's going to win one, but not Randy Moss, who's a superior player to A.J. Brown. Superior. Terrell Owens could also be considered the second best wide receiver in pro football history. He never won one, but your guy's going to. Isn't it funny? All the big number guys in the current age of the NFL, none of them have won Super Bowls. Moss, Owens, Brown, Devontae Adams. Right? All them guys. In the last 10, 15 years, none of them have won Super Bowls. But AJ will. Okay. I don't think you see the game clearly. You need a defense first. Well, shit, you ain't got one. That's the point. Tape, then why pay $25 million if you don't have a defense? Why pay $25 million for a wide receiver if you don't have money put on your defensive side of the football? Why? Because of Brady. Okay. So you're telling me if Gronkowski is, instead of on New England, he's in Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers doesn't win more. I say Aaron Rodgers wins more. I say the tight end position is the key position in today's league. And Kupp didn't make any money when they won the Super Bowl. He made the money after. And he took a hometown discount. Okay? Senor goes, why are the Chargers and Harbaugh drafting wide receiver at pick 5? Then, smart guy. Senor, I'm assuming you're not aiming that at me because they didn't want to pay Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. And they moved off them. That's why. And they'd rather go into the draft and pay wide receivers on rookie contracts. That's why they did it. They didn't want to pay Keenan Allen. And they didn't want to pay Mike Williams, who's frequently injured. That's why they didn't pay him. And that's why they moved him. Okay? Think about that. You get the same production, but cheaper. And that's what teams are doing. Even the Houston Texans just did that. Even the Texans. KP, I'm going to get to that. Okay? I'm going to get to that. By the way, I'm going to get to these 5 players. I promise. I won't drag it on too long here. I want to say one thing about your Haason Reddick trade. How many days has it been since Reddick has been moved? 8? 9? How many days? How many days has it been since Haason Reddick was traded from the Philadelphia Eagles to the Jets? Anybody know? How many days? Like 8 days? Let's see. Was it this past Friday? It was Friday ago. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What is it? 9 days now? Where's this new contract? Pete Toilet, I'm going to tell you why it matters. It's been about a week. And no contract. Why didn't the Eagles just make that guy play the contract out? He would have. He would have played it. He may have held out in OTAs or summer training camp. So what? Make him play it out. Why didn't you make him stay? Instead of moving him for a draft pick that you're not going to get for 3 drafts from now. And get this, LJ goes, he would have held out. So you didn't get any compensation for the next 3 drafts anyway. If he's not on your team, who cares? You got nothing for him anyway. Not for 3 more years. Why don't you make him pay or play? I think he would have played. You're assuming a guy on a 1-year deal. You're assuming a guy on a 1-year deal wouldn't want to go into free agency. So wait a minute. Should Stephon Diggs hold out now in Houston? Because Houston voided the last 2 years to get a new contract? Or is that a distraction that Buffalo didn't want? So which is it, LJ? Now with the 2 years being voided by Nick Caserio, GM of the Texans, should he hold out? Maybe Buffalo didn't want that distraction. They agreed on, wait, you make a trade and you allow the guy to become a free agent. And you had the control of the player for 2 years. They agreed? I wouldn't agree to that. Unless I was just looking for the player for 1 year. Stephon Diggs is a stopgap wide receiver until they go into the draft. They're going to draft somebody like a wide receiver, and there will be the replacement for him, and he'll be on his 4th team. Shows you what a nightmare that meathead is. He's going to be on 4 different teams. 4 different teams inside of 7 years. And you're trying to tell me that wide receivers are important. He can't be that important if he's going to be on 4 teams. Diggs is a luxury? Why trade for him then? Howie wants to be right about Huff, and his ego is unmatched. No, here's what I'm saying about this Reddick thing. It makes no sense. This is why when people have been criticizing me for the Vic Fangio comment, it's totally true. You see it now. The Jets aren't giving him a contract. They have no intention of giving him one. Hey, and I'll be the first one to admit it if they do. I'm wrong. But it's been almost 10 days. And most of the time when you make a play for a player, just like they did with Snead in Tennessee, they made Snead the highest paid defensive back in the league. Joe Mixon got traded the next day. Texans gave him a 3-year contract extension. What happened? What happened? I mean, Haason Reddick is a loser in this. No extension, no salary increase. He's playing for the same money. Why didn't the Eagles make him do that? What in the long, I saw somebody go long game. If you're Haason Reddick, you lost this. And if you're the Eagles, you lost this. Compensation in 3 years, and Reddick doesn't make any more money than he made. He's underpaid on the market, and he's on a 1-year contract, and he'll be on another football team at the end of this coming season. How did that make sense to anybody? Except that the coordinator wanted him out. I mean, I still don't understand why you just didn't say this. Here's your option. Play here or don't play at all. I don't really care. We're not paying you more. And the writing was on the wall that he wasn't coming back anyway. Haason Reddick had no market. Hence, there's no contract extension. There's no restructuring of a deal. He had no market. He had no leverage. In the end, actually, the Eagles were right. Because they knew not to pay him. The Jets aren't even paying him. Think about that for a minute. Haason Reddick's agent absolutely thought more of his client with Reddick, so much so that there was really no market. They made the market up. They made the potential takers, nor did the Eagles nor the Jets are willing to pay him more. Where's the market? We have got to be the dumbest organ. I don't know why you just didn't stand pat and make him play. LJ says Reddick probably made it clear he was done with the Eagles, the way Diggs told the Bills he was done. And get this, with the Texans, they didn't give him a contract extension. They actually took the last 2 years away and said, hey, you're playing here 1 year. He was done. I think Buffalo didn't want the headache anymore of the guy. And I think that the Stephon Diggs Houston Texans deal, I think it's a behavior deal. Hey, if you're good, you put up numbers, we'll talk maybe potential extension. But until then, if you want to be a free agent at the end of the year and you think you're worth more, let's see it. We may end up paying you. They're betting against Stephon Diggs. They're betting that he won't. That's why they avoided those years. Buffalo didn't want the headache anymore. And Houston's afraid, hey, having a guy, Xander, was that you that said this late in the year or late in the week last week when that deal went down? You know what Xander said? It's a good deal, but it's the worst team. And I believe he said that because of all the youth that's on that team and how young everyone is, the coach, the quarterback, Caserio turning everything around down there. I agree with him. I agree. Big Sills, you're absolutely right. The Eagles may get 7 wins because of that loser Fangio. We would have been better with Gannon. At least we went to a Super Bowl. 34, thank you. I just don't get it. I mean, I don't get why you didn't make the player play out. You know, I was waiting until Monday. Maybe that deal happens. But I don't believe it. I think the Jets would have pounced on it already. For them not to, they have no intention of paying him. The Eagles had no intention of paying him. You know how you know that? First day of free agency, they hired his replacement. Philadelphia wanted nothing to do with that. And for everyone to think, oh, we're going to try to keep two, Howie's going to make some move. Howie had no intention of keeping that player. Because you would have just told the guy this, I'm not trading you. Play your final year out. And I think he would have honored it. I think he would have played it. Why not? See, here's why they didn't make Reddick play out. It was ego, gold standard. Here we go. Gold standard franchises don't have holdouts. Howie and Laurie didn't want the visual. Bob, I don't think he would have held out. I'm not paying $20 million for a small edge rusher over 30. So you would pay for a backup at $18 million. And he's younger and he doesn't start. And you're hoping he's Haason Reddick. Reddick wasn't a washed player. I disagree with John McMullen. I completely disagree with that. Only winner in this situation is the Jets. They get a better player who will play well day one. Anthony, yes, the Jets upgraded without spending any more money and without paying for a player they know who's situational. Absolutely true. You can't be any more right than what you just said. Absolutely true. The Jets benefited the most out of that Reddick deal. It just makes no sense why you wouldn't force that player to go, hey, you're on a 1-year deal. So if Haason Reddick holds out, his market value at 30 you think goes up because he didn't play? How about the Eagles actually getting a pick they could have used 18 days from now? You think that might have helped? Okay, so Taylor goes, Eagles did the same thing with Malcolm Jenkins. What, they traded him out for 3 years on compensation in return? They didn't even give a shit about the return that they got on selling the guy to the Jets and selling the contract to the Jets. They said, that's okay, pay us in 3 years. It just makes no sense. So let me ask you something here. Prince brings up this. So Javon Hargrave was on a 1-year contract when his final year came up. And remember, I kept saying, I didn't think he'd get $20 million from the 49ers. He played his final year out. And he ended up getting $20 million from, and by the way, Javon Hargrave is no spring chicken. And he got $20 million. What's the difference between him and Reddick? What happened? Something happened. Somebody stepped on the gas here. Bob Brown says, Sills, do you think Reddick could have been used a part of camp should the Eagles try to trade for Josh Allen? They're not going to trade for Josh Allen. Howie doesn't spend money on defense. A 2026 conditional doesn't help us. Hell, I'd rather have a 2024 5 or 6. Absolutely. I would have took a lesser round that could have helped me this year. And then parlayed them to try to trade up and get somebody I wanted. I'm not suggesting Howie sucks, but somebody other than Howie was pushing this deal. Big Trag says Devontae Smith, but he can't draft. He can't draft defense. He's pathetic at it. Utterly pathetic. You all play the game like checkers. Howie's playing chess. How's he playing chess with this? You got nothing in return. They didn't give him a contract extension. And you hired a guy who's a lesser player. How's that chess? How's that chess? I think Reddick speaking out verbally was just the icing on the cake. He said more face to face with Howie. No, I think the agent did. They didn't appreciate how he was being used. And I think that was the catalyst in getting Bryce Huff in the room. Okay, yeah. You don't look right in front of you when you're... Reddick will get his deal, trust and believe. Never happened. No way. No way. $25 million? The Jets are not paying that. They wouldn't pay Bryce Huff that. Why would they pay Reddick? They're going to use Reddick. They may draft, the Jets now may draft edge rusher in the upcoming draft to replace him. Get rid of him after this year. And they get a compensation. Don't forget this too. How about this one, Xander? So here's what the Jets are going to do. I think the Jets may get that kid verse. They may get the kid verse. They may draft this guy verse or Dallas Turner at number 10 or trade down and let Reddick play 1 year and they get a compensation of a third rounder when he walks out the building. They basically cover their bet. And they get a better player for 1 year without paying him. And Reddick makes the same number. How did this go on when you just didn't do this? Play. Javon Hargrave played his last year out without a contract. Best thing happened in Philly. We got to witness championship at WrestleMania. That was pretty awesome shit, man. I think I don't really like the 3-day deal, but it's all good, man. Or a 2-day deal. I think they should do it all on 1 day, but the Rock and Cena in the ring was pretty good. And also, who would have thought, Kelsey spending his retirement in a WWE wrestling arena and in the ropes. Isn't that how you thought he would spend his retirement? Would be at WrestleMania? I mean, I don't know. I think it fits perfect. Hey, you get this. Here's what went down too, man. Hey, supposedly Stone Cold wanted more money. And Undertaker got the gig. He wanted more money. He was supposed to be involved in that. And he said, "No, that's all right. I'll pass." All the way up to the last couple hours of the thing. They were still negotiating. And Stone Cold was supposed to be at that. He bailed. Said, "Nah." Triple H had to hurry and get someone. That's how and Undertaker's okay. You're not gonna go. He's not that far off. Oh, Undertaker's a legendary guy himself. If the Jets go get an edge rusher, KTS sucks for the Eagles. Every mock draft, ATL taking Dallas Turner. I think Chicago could also take him at 9. I think because of all the moves that Chicago made with their offense this offseason, and plus at 1, they're going to get Caleb. I wouldn't be shocked if Eberflus talks Poles into going there and getting potentially Dallas Turner or maybe even the DB from Toledo, and they put him there. Okay. Sills, is Chip Kelly's situation with Fangio and Howie? Not quite. He's not Stone Cold. Hey, Big Trag, he's not. But Undertaker is a legend. Okay? Sills, can you say we have the better quarterback? What, the Cardinals? Well, he took you to the limit the year previous, and he beat you this year. So what is he, 1-on-1 versus you? He's had pretty good games against the Eagles, actually, Kyler Murray. And Jonathan Gannon outcoached Nicky. I mean, oh, that's right. But you are 2-0 against Josh Allen, but you're 1-1 against Kyler Murray. He's almost beaten you twice. So Kyler Murray, this is a big year for Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's got to win. He's got to win. I think Jonathan Gannon's doing a great job with him, too. He's giving him all the support he possibly can give him. All right, I'm going to have to take a time out here, man, because we get Angelo Cataldi coming in. Xander goes like this. Dude, the guy stinks. Wait a minute. He beat your boy. He beat your boy. He beat Jalen Hurts. He beat Hurts pretty convincingly with nobody. Xander's like, that ain't saying much. With that, I'm going to take a timeout. Angelo Cataldi's going to join us at 3:30. We'll talk to Angelo. Philadelphia's legendary sports talker was just inducted into the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. We will talk with him. Gary Cobb, as we always do on a Monday. That'll be at 4:30. So much to hit on yet. And I will get to my 5 players that I covet. And I've got 5 right now that I'd be comfortable with the Eagles taking. Who are they? I'll tell you who they are. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.